I posted the homework for Wednesday on Edmodo. I will just go over some of the word problems, like for example, number 15. It reads the product of 5 and x is no more than 35. Product means multiply. So for that problem, you would have to write 5 times x, because that's what they're talking about, multiplying 5 and x. The next part of the reading saying is no more than. Okay, so that means this has to be less than or equal to 35. So it's no more than 35. So it has to be less than 35. And it can still be 35. So that is the inequality for number 15. It also states to solve that inequality. So to solve this, you would simply divide both sides of the inequality by 5. X is less than or equal to 7. Number 16. Number 16 is written 7 is less than, it should be than, or equal to twice m. 7 is less than or equal to twice m. So it's saying that 7 is smaller, so write it as it's stated. 7 less than, this means it's smaller, is pointed to the smaller number, or equal to, the line underneath determines that it can be equal to 7 and it's less than 7. The rest of the question says then twice m. So you have to put it than 2 times m. 7 is less than or equal to 2 times m is the inequality. To simplify this inequality, we must do the inverse operation on the side or the variable. So the inverse of multiplication is division. We must divide both sides of the inequality by 2, thereby making the answer 7 over 2 being less than or equal to m. This problem comes from number 9 on the same day, which is Wednesday, October the 1st. It reads 4 is greater than or equal to 3 minus x. Now our first step, we have to isolate the variable by completing an inverse operation. That means that we've got to move the 3 over to the other side of the inequality. So the opposite of being subtracted by 3 is you're going to have to add 3 to both sides. So subtract 3 rather. This is a positive 3, so this one would have to take a minus 3 on both sides in order to eliminate the 3. So now we're going to combine the 3 and the positive 4, a negative 3, added together is a positive 1. So we have 1 is greater than or equal to negative x. Now, as I told you the other day, when you have a negative by the variable, you must reverse the direction of the inequality sign. So instead of it being a greater than or equal to the sign, it would be a less than or equal to sign. Okay? And so in order to get rid of the negative by the x, that's understood to be a 1 there, we're going to divide by a negative 1. So because two negatives make a positive, Do the same on both sides because we know the inverse operation of a multiplication problem is a division problem. So the divide by -1 on both sides eliminates the negative from the x, making it positive. And so the final answer here is a -1 because a -1 divided by a +1 is a -1. So the final answer is -1 is less than or equal to x. This is number 14 from the same page, which is Wednesday, October 1st. It reads, -x/2 is greater than or equal to 5. Now that can be rewritten as -1/2 x is greater than or equal to 5. It depends on how your test can be typed. So either problem is the same thing. Now, how do you solve this? First of all, as I've stated, when there is a negative as the leading coefficient in front of the variable, you would simply have to reverse the direction of the inequality sign. So instead of it being greater than or equal to, it's going to be less than or equal to. You can go ahead and switch the direction before you get started, just in case you may forget. Now, we know that we have 1/2 here. That's its division. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by -2/1 because we want the negatives to cancel out. So two negatives make a positive. So that leaves the x by itself. The same thing on this side of the inequality sign by -2/1. So if you multiply 5 times -2, you're going to get a -10. So the final answer is x is less than or equal to -10. I'm not graphing any of these today, but some you will be required to graph, and we will talk about that when I come back. And as a review is when you graph something, whether you open or close the circle. Okay, let's look at this. If it is a closed circle in the graph and you've graphed something, let's say this is 3. When it's a closed circle, you have to put a line underneath the greater than or less than sign. The less than or greater than sign, you have to draw a line underneath to indicate that it is or equal to. So this is a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Either way, you have to shade in the circle. When the circle is left unshaded and is graphed, then you will not have to put the line underneath. So that just simply means less than or greater than. So as you graph, you would shade the direction that fits the answer to the problem. For example, if I want to graph x is greater than or equal to 5, I would mark 5 on the number line and I would shade in the point where 5 is. Since I know that the rest of the values are greater than 5, I will also shade all the values that are greater than the value of 5. Now this problem is number 2 from Thursday's homework, which is October 2nd. First of all, we notice in this problem that on the left side, there are like terms that need to be combined. So we always first, when we look at the problem, we look on both sides to see, can we combine any like terms? And I notice we can combine -6 and a +9. and that will make this 3. So we just rewrite the rest of the problem. 3 plus 7p is less than negative 11. Now, we still need to isolate our variable, which is p. So we notice 3 has been added to it. So we need to first do the inverse operation of addition, which is subtraction. So the additive inverse is, instead of it being positive, you're going to have a negative 3 on both sides. So to add an opposite gets rid of this 3, and we will bring down 7p is less than negative 14. Now, let's think for a minute. Do we reverse the sign here? Is there a negative in front of the variable or in front of the coefficient here? Neither one. There's not a negative here. There's a negative here in the answer, but not on this side where the variable is. So you do not reverse the sign. You simply divide both sides by your 7. That leaves p is less than negative 2. Now, I won't be at school today. I will be at school Friday. I will postpone the quiz to make sure you understand the problems we've been completing. You may work in groups. I have posted the answers to Wednesday's homework, and tomorrow possibly I will post the answers to Thursday's homework. If you have any questions at all, send me a message through Edmodo and I will respond.